If you're about to spend 1 million naira on your first camera, I think you need to watch this video before you go ahead, because I've seen a lot of videographers, content creators, filmmakers, make the same mistake. They spend on their money chasing full frame cameras only to end up with older cameras and older sensors and cameras that don't have good autofocus and really recent features like that. Very few video features. Meanwhile, there are other cameras out there you could have gotten. Someone else is buying a modern APS-C camera for the same money you spent on the full frame, the older full frame, and they still get a much better filmmaking experience. So in this video, I am going to recommend the cameras I would actually buy if my budget was between 1 million naira to 1.5 million naira, or slightly below 1 million naira, around 800,000 naira. And no, this is not a sponsored video. Nobody paid me to make this video. These are simply the cameras I will spend my own money on if I'm to, let's say, start again and all I had was 1 million to 1.5. And before we get into the cameras, there are some things you need to understand. Your biggest mistake is not buying the wrong brand. You need to pay attention to what I'm about to say, very careful. Your biggest mistake, it is buying the wrong camera for the wrong need. I see people asking questions like, should I buy Sony? Should I buy Canon? Should I buy Blackmagic? Should I buy Lumix? There are different cameras out there today, and people come to my DM, especially on Instagram and TikTok, to ask me this. And honestly, I believe that question is wrong. The question you should be asking is not if you should buy Nikon, Canon, or Sony. The right question should be, what do you shoot? What kind of project do you shoot? Do you shoot documentary? Do you shoot podcasts? Do you shoot commercials? Do you shoot, YouTube videos? What kind of project do you work with? Is it events? That is what is going to determine the type of camera you should do. Or if you're doing videography or photography, or you want to do both, or you do travel content, either your work requires heavy workflow or very light workflow. That is what we determine, because the answer to the question is what we now change everything for you, everything altogether. Now, this is probably the most controversial thing I will say in this video. People care way too much about sensor size. I've said it a lot of time in my video. Sensor size is not as important as the quality of your sensor. Sensor size is not as important as the quality of your sensor. People focus too much on the size of the sensor, if it's APS-C or micro four thirds and what have you, all of that, and they don't even pay attention to the sensor quality. I remember the first time I used the Red Komodo X. The image quality I got from that camera was unbelievable. That was a Super 35 sensor camera. And the first time I used, I think it was the Sony FS7 Mark II. Exactly the same experience I had. Like, I could not believe, the quality I was seeing coming from, I think I was using A7 IIIs at the time. And that was when I stopped falling for the marketing gimmicks we see today. Everybody 18 on APS-C and wanting to get a full frame camera, and there are shots I still even shoot even today when I'm using my FX30 and FX3, and I use my FX30 as A cam sometimes when I want a tighter shot for the A cam, and absolutely nobody has ever spotted the difference when I give it to them. That, can you tell me which one is FX30 or FX3? Because people don't even watch your video thinking, I think this one was shot on a full frame camera, or this one was shot on APS-C sensor. In fact, if you're very good at what you do, people will hardly notice if you mix both. They will notice your lighting, they will notice your composition, they will notice the story, how the video made them feel. They will notice the colors that comes out from your video, how colorful, how you're able to tell stories with the color. They will notice the audio, which is also very important. but they will not notice your sensor size. I'm telling you. So if your budget is around 1 million naira, please don't just force yourself to buy an old full frame camera when you can buy a newer APS-C camera with better autofocus, better sensor readouts and better codecs, better color science and better overall video qualities. Yes, for example, the FX30 is better than a lot of full frame cameras like the Canon R, like the A7 III, a lot of full frame cameras out there. And if you want a wider field of view, because that's a lot of people's complaint, you can get a wider lens. If you want blur background, you can buy very fast prime lenses. They are amazing f1.2 and f1.4 lenses from brands like Sigma and Viltrox, and they are still cheaper than building a full frame setup compared to when you're buying a crop sensor camera. So don't buy a camera because of marketing. Buy the camera that gives you the best image quality. Very, very important. Look for a camera that has the best features, the best value for your budget, and that is the best way to purchase a camera. So now let's start with Canon. If you're getting into filmmaking, my first recommendation will be the Canon R50V. I genuinely think this is one of the best entry-level filmmaking camera Canon has ever made. You are going to get Canon log from this, unlimited recording, excellent autofocus, and image quality that is more than just enough for YouTube and content creations, documentaries, even weddings. Yes, I think Canon sent me a few months ago and I did some very few videos with the camera and it was really amazing. If you're ready to move into full frame camera and you want to get a Canon camera, then I will recommend the Canon R8. This is probably Canon's best affordable full frame camera in 2026. You're going to also get a better low lights performance. You're going to also get Canon lock, beautiful colors, and the autofocus is also among the best Canon cameras in 2026 that have really good autofocus. Now, if video is your priority, you might want to take a serious look into the Canon EOS R6V. I think Canon released it of recent, just a few weeks ago. The camera was built specifically for filmmakers. You're going to get 7K open gate RAW, 4K up to 120 frames per second. You're going to get dual base ISO, an internal cooling fan, and you're also going to get creator focused features that makes long form content much easier to shoot. And finally, if you're ready for a dedicated cinema camera, I would just recommend you to go for the Canon EOS C50. It gives you the same 7K full frame sensor, 12-bit RAW, open gate recording, 4K up to 120 frames per second, and it has a more cinema build that is built for cinema work and everything you would expect from a professional cinema camera in a very compact body. Now let's talk about Sony. If your budget allows, I will recommend you go for the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. I genuinely think this is one of Sony's best beginner filmmaking cameras. You're going to also get 10-bit recording, S-Log 3, which is like very easy to color grade and to work with in DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Pro. You're going to get excellent autofocus, great dynamic range, and access to one of the best lens ecosystem in the industry, no doubt. And if your budget is a little lower, the original ZV-E10 is still an excellent option to an extent. And if that is what you can afford, like I say, the camera that you can afford is the best option for you. And if you are going for Nikon, I will recommend the Nikon Z50 Mark II. It is one of the most underrated hybrid camera right now. It has great colors, excellent autofocus, and a fantastic option if you shoot both photos and videos. Let's look at the Lumix options we have. Now for Lumix, if you are mainly a filmmaker, I want you to take a look at the Lumix GH5 for around 1 million naira. You're going to get in the used market, in the foreign used market. To this day, it is still one of the best value filmmaking cameras you can buy. You're still going to get internal 10-bit recording, professional codecs, amazing image stabilization, and beautiful image quality. Yes, these are the things you're going to get from this camera. And now let's talk about one of the most budget-friendly cinema cameras in the industry, which is the Blackmagic. If you've always wanted a cinema camera, I think I would recommend the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. You get Blackmagic RAW, fantastic color, and one of the most cinematic image you will find at this price. You just need to remember that this camera is not for everyone. You need to be comfortable with using manual focus because this camera does not come with autofocus, and the battery does not really last long, so you have to be able to build it into a cinema rig for you to enjoy it more and to get a more professional workflow. And finally, here's the mistake I see a lot of people make. They spend all their budgets on camera bodies and they forget that they need to still buy lens. Because they tell me, I have 1 million naira to buy camera. Then they realize, oh, I need a lens, I need a microphone, I need lights, I need ND filter, I need memory cards. Make sure you don't spend all your money on the camera body, and keep money for sound, lights, stabilization, and a good laptop. So before you buy any camera, plan your entire filmmaking setup, not just buy a camera body. Because the best camera is not even the most expensive one. It is the one that is built for the kind of filmmaker you are trying to become. So if this video helped you, let me know in the comment section and let me know your budgets and tell me what kind of videos you shoot. Maybe I might be able to point you to the right direction and recommend the best camera for you. See you in my next video.